everybody? Invisiblekatana here doing my review for Supernatural episode 300. Obviously, I do my intros a little bit different, but with it being the 300th episode, it is just kind of a really good episode. And, kind of just getting into it to talk about it. Really fun. Had to, of course, wear my Supernatural shirt for this one and my tiny Samulet. And I also have my Supernatural bestiary, which I think is actually really cool. It's a really interesting book if you guys can find it online. And it's just all the old characters, all sorts of stuff, tons of great art. Like, I love the art in this one. It's basically a book written by Sam, so you get all sorts of stuff leading up to season 13. It basically goes up to that, so it doesn't have info like on Jack or anything like that, but little bits and pieces here and there. You get Leviathans, Eve, Lilith is in here, obviously Lucifer, the Gregory are in here, stuff like that. Really great little bits of art as well throughout the entire thing. So if you guys can find this, highly recommend it. It's definitely cool. It's the Men of Letters. Well, I have the special edition because I got like the Loot Crate version, so I have like the Men of Letters version of it. But definitely a cool book. So if you guys can find this, check it out. It's, I would say, if you're a big fan of the show, it's definitely a cool book to pick up. But of course, getting into episode 300 of Supernatural, I really loved it. Of course, there were a buttload of references throughout this episode. Of course, Dean having the old school poster, them obviously everything with John where he referenced some of the stuff that happened. Sam's alternate lifestyle, him being a lawyer and stuff like that because that's what he went to school for. Cass basically doing a second intro. Zachariah comes back to life and then is killed, which I just read an article because I was looking to see if there are other references I missed. I didn't realize he died in the 100th episode, so I thought that was actually really interesting. So they brought him back 200 episodes later, and they actually killed him again. So he died in the 100th episode and the 300th episode. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Dean killed him last time, Sam kills him this time, but Cass had his classic intro with the wings and everything. Him not getting pop culture references when he's called Constantine was awesome. Sam and Dean go by the Campbell brothers, which I totally didn't notice. I didn't realize that was the name. And I probably would have forgot anyway, admittedly, because it's been so long. But, of course, Campbell is Mary's maiden name, so tons of references throughout the episode, and that was awesome. Obviously, baby being stolen, that's just a thing. Every once in a while it happens, so it was kind of funny. But really enjoyed it. Really loved it. Obviously, it was awesome to see, John Winchester come back, and he's there with the family, and they have this great family reunion, minus that other son that he had, because that's not a part of happiness, I guess, so who knows. Illegitimate kids that never show up in the canon anymore. But, we got our important people, I guess. And it was really good. I like the way they handled the episode. They did it 2 episodes in a row. Sam had that super emotional moment, and I was like, man, they got me again, because that was a really good moment with Sam and John. I think that was probably my favorite scene as far as, like, all the reunion stuff that they did. That was the best scene, because that was always the thing with those 2 characters, was that infinite tension where Sam legitimately left. Like, he eventually was able to basically escape. At that point, he was escaping, a crappy life. And, as he mentions, that was a lifetime ago. So I thought that was really cool. He referenced, him being the one to find John, on the ground where he died, in the hospital. I was like, man, that, it's really cool the way they did that. The emotional, element of it was just great. But all in all, it was a really good episode. It starts off pretty crazy because I didn't realize this was the 300th episode because I was surprised. They didn't do any references to it in the promo. I thought that would kind of be the big thing. Like, hey, it's the 300th episode. If you didn't know, be here to watch this because somebody's coming back and stuff like that. They probably should have put it in the promo if I'm being totally honest. Because I think that would have, people who are still watching the show are going to watch the show. But I feel like for people that didn't know or, who aren't going to catch it every single week or something and be like, I'll just wait a little bit. That would have been the thing to be like, oh, crap, for people who may not have caught up or anything, you want to catch up to that moment. So I feel like they should have advertised that because it was just a weird time paradox episode based on the promo. And that's what I thought it was because I didn't realize it was going to, it was the 300th episode. But I was super happy when I was watching. I enjoyed it even before I realized, it was that episode. Excuse me. But it was just entertaining. They go in, they're able to find the skull. They realize that this guy basically ransacked one of their buddies' houses and also killed the guy because he had this blade that could, slice through anything, which I thought was super funny when he killed the guy. And Dean was like, they always talk too much. And so I thought that was just super funny. And it was like, that was really the only reason Sam ended up surviving because he's like, your buddy went down in 1 slice. Well, you're a big boy. It might take 2. And then Dean just shoots him. It's like, I always talk too much. And that was pretty much it. They killed that guy. They have to deal with a crazy ghost clown, solve that problem. We have kids in the town who actually find out that they hunt monsters, and they were talking about it. I thought that was actually cool too, where the guy was like, I'm telling you, there was something in the trunk of that car, like I could hear noises or something. He's like, so here they are. So I thought that was actually really cool, where they have, this kind of aura throughout the town. Like we see them go into the bar, we see them go to the post office, and Sam totally screws it up, and Dean like flirts with the woman, and he like puts his hand on her hand, which reminded me of another episode too, and I feel like that was a reference, but I think it was with Sam. I think they were in like an old folks home or something happened, and that old lady was like all over Sam. I feel like that's what it reminded me of, at least, and I was like, I can't remember what it was, but I think that's the episode that it was, and that was probably a few seasons back, like not too long ago. But they were in like some old folks home, and like this one old lady was like all over Sam, and it was like he kind of had to use that for them to solve the case. But definitely fun episode. I really loved it. Getting to see the characters, of course, reunite with John. The scene where Mary first shows up was also insanely emotional, because like just the acting in general was really great. And they're about to like tell him like about mom, and then she comes in like Sam Dean, and like Jeffrey Dean Morgan like instantly like gets tears, and I was like, that's really good. Like that's just really great acting. Like that's an emotional moment, and I just loved it. I thought that was a great scene, and of course, unfortunately, they have to go through the episode, and it's like, well, if we stick to this, then the timeline changes and things are really bad, and mom probably would never come back. We also may or may not save the world. Like they talked about, like let somebody else do, save the world, and it's just interesting. It was like, man, this that sucks for them, and I was curious how that was going to play out too. So it was like, of course, it makes sense. Like that's how you do it, where it's like this random loophole. Like instead of it just being poof, he's alive, it was the crappy version where he literally gets pulled out of time, because it's like, oh, in reality it would have just been, he didn't die, but instead it was like he was literally pulled from 2003, and it was like, that's the unfortunate loophole that they have to face, where like it could have been perfect. It's just poof, he's alive again, but instead, he's just stuck. So that was really cool. Love the episode. It was interesting, watching Sam and Dean have to fight Cass, and he, doesn't know them or anything. They take out Zachariah. Just once again, all the references and stuff like that. So definitely a fantastic episode. Thought it was really fun to watch, and definitely a really good emotional one. And like I said, coming off the heels of the last episode that had, a very emotional moment, they have this where it's supposed to be like, oh, well, my heart's desire is like I get Michael out of my body, everything's golden. But then, of course, John shows up, which is also a reference to the first episode when Dean first showed up to Sam, and they have the fight in the dark, and then the light comes on. And also John took out both Sam and Dean, which I thought was super funny. And then it's like, poof, that's the reveal, and it's actually John. So that was a cool reference as well to the very first episode of the series too. But really good. I really enjoyed this one. It was nice to see them, at their home, as they called it. And so, them going around Lebanon, and I just thought it was really entertaining. So love the episode, without a doubt. They did some really cool references. A lot of like really simple stuff where it's like, oh, that was a cool reference. Them using the name was one of the things I missed. Them doing the thing where John, shows up in the dark and stuff like that, referencing the first episode. Zachariah coming back and he dies, like two milestone episode deaths. So little stuff like that. I was like, okay, there's some references I noticed, some references I didn't. So all of that was really entertaining, but it was just a fun episode. So I was really happy to see this one. Of course, I think everyone was excited for this episode. I didn't know when it was happening. Once again, I'm very surprised they didn't promote that it was like, hey, here's the 300th episode coming up. But yeah, it was definitely fun. It was also a nice surprise, considering they didn't promote it that way. And then I'm watching it, and I think it's like, oh, it's just the case, and it's them at home. And I already enjoyed it, honestly, because like I said, it was us getting to see them, going around the town outside of the bunker. And I was like, well, that's just an interesting concept that I honestly hadn't really thought of too much. So that in itself was already like super entertaining. And then it's like, oh, it's the 300th episode, and here comes John, and all these reunion moments, and then timeline moments with Cass being bad again, Zachariah being alive again, little stuff like that. So all in all, a super fun episode. Really enjoyed episode 300. Looking forward, of course, to 301 and the rest of this season. But naturally, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it, favorite reference that you got your first time through this episode. Like I didn't realize the thing with John showing up in the dark. I didn't remember that was a reference. That's one of the things that I read. Like, oh, that was a reference. Like, maybe that's why it probably felt familiar. I was like, something about this is like somewhat familiar, and I don't know what it is, but I guess that's what it was. It was like from episode 1, but I really loved it. I loved everything about it. Obviously, with this being the 300th episode as well, it's a great time to reflect upon our favorite moments of the entire series. Also, some least favorite moments. Most people's tends to be the Leviathans. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy ride. 300 episodes, like 100 million years. It feels like 14 years. Ever since they were on WB. For me, I'm in Michigan, so it was WB 20. So ever since, WB 20, and now it's on to the CW, and it's been a super long time with this show. People dying, not dying, zombies, ghosts, demon, every freaking monster you can imagine. So it's been fun. Waiting for some more timelines to come up. Still upset when I did find out about the Wayward Sister show not actually getting picked up, which I thought really sucked. I was like, I understood them not doing the Bloodlines thing. No one seemed to really like that at all. But man, the Wayward Sister stuff seemed like it was going to be so good, and I was excited for that. And I was like, man, it's taking a minute. I thought that was supposed to come up, and then I found out it was canceled. I was like, that sucks. They really should have picked that up, because I think it would have been so fun to watch. But maybe, a little ways down the line, they'll kind of consider it again, and we'll, have that actually be a real show. But for now, we got Sam, Dean, Mary, Cass, Jack. We got our crew, and we have our, the rest of our characters and everything, all the madness going on with this season anyway. So looking forward to next week. Don't know what's going to be happening with Jack losing his soul and how that's going to play out. I'm very excited for that, if I'm being totally honest, because I think when they do soulless characters, it's always an interesting concept, because you have human soulless characters, and now we have a Nephilim soulless character, and so he's burning his soul away for his power, but eventually he'll just be soulless. So it kind of gets to a point where, like, when does he realize that he's just destroying himself, even without a soul? At some point, there's that thing of, I just want to be powerful, so I can't use this unless it's an emergency. So I'm looking forward to that dynamic. I don't think they'll kill off Rowena officially. If they do, like, kill her again, I don't think she'll be, like, dead. I certainly hope not, especially since they put that in the promo. I'm like, well, she's definitely not going to be really dead. That would be, like, the ultimate twist, because they never show, like, actual important stuff in the promo. It's always like, oh, man, it's a shocker, tune in. And then, she passed out for a little, and she'll be fine. But looking forward to next week's episode. Have enjoyed all 300 episodes leading up to this one, or all 299, and now the 300th episode. Like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one. Favorite moments of the series, what you guys want to see going forward. My main thing was one of the pictures, the Grigori. I want those angels to come back, because I thought that was a cool concept, where they're like angels that are like a hidden sector, and they've got swords and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know if that's going to come up anymore, because they kind of did the whole thing where there's like 10 angels on Earth, but they're also super secret angels, so they might not know that those other angels are there. So I'm still kind of just waiting for that storyline to pick up, because I'm like, you got sword-wielding angels, like, and not counting, obviously, the spears, but that's such a cool concept, and I've been waiting like 2 seasons for them to kind of bring that storyline back, and I thought we'd get it with Wayward Sisters. That could have been like the whole first season of that show, or at least half of the first season, but I was just like, man, we gotta wait for it to be like a special episode. I feel like I just want that storyline to come back so bad, because I thought it was a great concept. But either way, love the show. Looking forward to the rest of it for this season, however many seasons going forward. Like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.